evening, viewers. Today we have Desh Kapoor back with us, and welcome, Desh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Meena.
Yeah. So Desh is in India at the moment, and he also had a dip at the Mahakumbh. So I hope your experience has been good, Desh.
Yeah, I think it has been pretty good. Like Mahakumbh was a great experience actually.
Yeah.
So I think it's been like overall very nice.
Yeah. So, Desh, there's lots of news that's been happening in your absence, and Pakistan seems to be bearing the brunt of everything that's happening, right from the Balochistan liberation front, army attacking the train and taking hostages, and now it seems the Pakistani ambassador has been denied entry to USA. He was deported from Los Angeles. They say he went for a private visit when he was stopped by the US immigration authorities. And now the United States has denied him entry. The person is KK Ahsan Bagan, and he was deported from Los Angeles on Tuesday. The report said that he was traveling with a valid US visa and all necessary travel documents when he was stopped by the US immigration authorities. And they say that due to controversial visa references, this was what led to his immediate deportation. The US deported him to his point of departure, raising questions regarding the diplomatic protocol and the US response to that matter. Now here, Desh also takes us to the point where the Pakistanis might be also placed under an outright travel ban, whether they will face tougher scrutiny when they apply for US visas. So, could you comment about that?
Yeah, I think. See, the thing is, I mean, in the new setup that we have, right? Uh, like with Trump coming in, and with Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, uh, Tulsi Gabbard, Cash Patel, like all these people are not like going to play the same game as the earlier administration was playing, right? So when KK Ehsan, was like deported back from Los Angeles, despite like having a valid visa. So I think uh, like there must be like certain things that like were there in his background, which like weren't really right in many like ways for them. So like it has, see, even though people seem to be just ordinary from Pakistan, sometimes there are many things that they would have like done. Like if one goes back all the way to the time when Reagan was there, and the way like Pakistan actually took the components of the nuclear plant, like you will see that how they used to set up like front companies, how the ISI later on was working like with many other folks, ordinary, normal, like looking people within Houston, like within other like cities, to actually like use the Kashmir stuff quite a lot. So what seems to be like very very like simple stuff. I mean, like this guy was, it seems, a deputy consul general in Los Angeles like earlier on, and he was ambassador to Oman also. And uh, they may have figured out that he's not just like a normal diplomat. Like he, a lot of these positions are actually like ISI
Covers.
folks as well. Yeah. So uh, so why was he coming to Los Angeles, and like why did they feel that he should not be allowed? Like I think those are questions that uh, like will come out subsequently. But right now I think uh, like it just points to to a direction where I think US is not like willing to play ball anymore with
Yeah,
Pakistan.
message is clear.
Yeah, the message is clear. And like when we look at the same thing, like from the Balochistan, train thing that has happened, right? Now, uh, first of all, Balochistan was never part of Pakistan. They were annexed after 1947. And before they even did all the massacres in Bangladesh, the same General Tika Khan actually, started his life as a butcher in Balochistan. So he was known as a butcher of Balochistan before he went to Bangladesh and used the same methodology, same methods to persecute people there, to create, like rape camps and things like that. So the kind of atrocities that have happened there are quite a lot. So in that sense, what they have tried to do is very spectacular. Taking the whole train hostage. They are saying that um, people have seen almost 200 coffins being sent to Balochistan via train now. So some are saying that maybe 200 army folks have been killed. So despite whatever these guys are saying, I even heard Mohsin Naqvi, actually their home minister or interior minister, was saying just a few weeks back that this is just a job of an SHO. I mean, an SHO can handle Balochistan. So I think they live in a very strange kind of a world, and in that world they have their own calculations. They think that world is how they perceive the
They
world to be.
perceive it. Yeah.
Right.
Also,
So I just
yeah.
feel that sorry. So I just feel that like Balochistan stuff is going to like grow even more, because I think the call to actually hit back at Balochistan will increase. The more that call to hit back at Balochistan increases, the more the retaliation will also increase from Balochistan. Like it's not a simple place. I mean, that's the area where they had done the nuclear tests. That's the area which like has a lot of resources. I think they even have some oil resources as well.
Yeah.
They like obviously have the port. So it's going to be a major miss for Pakistan if they like try to go that route.
Yeah, in fact, they've been harassing and torturing the Balochis for quite a long time. And a lot of their freedom fighters have been begging for help from most of the countries. But now I think they're getting also artillery and, warfare material. So they've become a little bit more bold. But I don't understand how Pakistan can call them terrorists, because they are fighting for their own, state. And it's the way, as you said, the way these people perceive it is totally different from what is actually happening. And also, I find it very funny that, whenever these people say that it's a private visit, it reminds me of, when Rahul Gandhi goes, he also says it's a private visit. But everybody knows when these people go, there is a big agenda behind it. And they are meeting all the wrong people, to derail the country. And in the case of Pakistan, against India, So, yes, what you said is absolutely true, Desh. Now, Desh, moving on to more amusing news is that Michelle Obama's new podcast was dubbed flop and boring as Fox News mocks the former First Lady over dismal viewership. Apparently, she and her brother Craig's podcast, the first two episodes struggled to reach even 30,000 views in 20 hours, which drew a lot of criticism from the netizens. Netizens on X said that the discrepancy between her media exposure and the audience that IMO was able to reach. While both the episodes are almost an hour long, the podcast appears to be struggling to draw listeners given the drastically reduced attention span of internet users. Nobody asked for this, said several netizens in the comment box. Nobody wants it. We've all heard what she believes, and nobody wants the America she wants. It's pretty simple, is what one viewer wrote. This would be a good punishment podcast, is what the others said. Now, everybody knows the background of the Obama's Desh. In fact, even the chief cook. died very mysteriously. Who had been working with the Obamas for a long time. And under their regime, many people have disappeared very mysteriously, especially under the Clintons. I mean, so many people have just, suddenly disappeared, including a very famous journalist who said that, Michelle Obama is a man. She's not a woman. So immediately after that, she also disappeared. She was dead. So it's so clear that the people don't want these people. But you know what, Desh? See, it just reminds me of what's happening in the Bollywood scene in India. Because now Bollywood is almost dead. And
Right.
people like Farah Khan and everybody, including Alia Bhatt, who doesn't know any cooking, they've all gone into the cooking bandwagon, the cooking shows. And if they can't cook, they get their mummies and daddies to cook also. So they hang around very cutely and say that, Mummy, main kya karun? So all these things that she'll say, just,
Right.
hilao, this with the spoon. And this is all supposed to be comedy and all that. So now it seems like even Michelle Obama doesn't have a job and she's gone into this. Could you explain what's happening with in this case?
Yeah. So I think, see, one of the things that we have to, uh, that I have like realized is people think that like what happened in 2024 was just an election, and Trump winning was an election result. I don't think it was just an election and just an election result. In my view, and I've been talking to folks here and like in India, and that's what I've been trying to tell them, that it was actually an uprising within the US against the entrenched forces or groups which were like doing things which people did not agree with. Yes, inflation, high inflation, and falling jobs was the major trigger. But behind that, there was also this whole discussion about deep state and other things that was going on. Now, like we can keep on saying that it's all conspiracy and all that thing, but because X was not controlled by those folks, even though they wanted to actually control all the news, they could not do that the way they had done in 2020 with Hunter Biden. So, so this was a massive retaliation from the population because, see, like Trump won by 6 million votes. Biden had in the last election had won by 7 million votes. So if you really look at it, it was almost a 13 million swing. So if you are looking at a 13 million swing, like that is a major like swing that happened, right? So in that sense, when Michelle Obama comes now, she thinks it's the same world that she left when she left the White House. The world has changed. The US has changed. People like within US are no more towing the same line that they used to. They are not like even looking at the issues the same way that they used to. Obama, who won the Peace Prize, is not known as Obama, the peaceful guy. He's known as Obama, the guy who started all the wars.
Hmm.
Because people now know what the truth is, and wars, are equal to stealing money from taxpayers
Yeah,
because that is how it
absolutely.
is. So, so I think, uh, and the see like, it was very nice the way you were like equating with like Bollywood as well. See, Bollywood is, also thinks that they have an unlimited reservoir of, like access to like people's heart and all that. They
Yeah,
don't,
absolutely.
like at some point people just get sick and tired of all this nonsense that they keep on doing, despite not having a single hit, not having a single like movie for many many years now. People, a lot of these stars are living, glamorous lifestyles. um, People would know why they do that or how they do that. Like there are many means of income, some not so nice. So, so we all know how they like do all these things. And the same thing like goes on with the uh, like folks in the politics as well. With the Epstein list and all those things trying to come out, Cash Patel and Pam Bondi wants to to bring it out. There are still some people who are trying to push back. So there is, Tucker Carlson has been asking, which are those forces which are trying to stop it? Because there are certain names which are pretty big, which could come out, and I think the politicians are actually on tender hooks right now. So they think by starting podcasts or doing all these things, they can get access to that clout or to that influence that they had earlier on, which is not available to the normal media now. I mean, after all, if you really look at how Trump won, media has changed. I mean, he looked at podcast because people had lost trust with the normal mainstream
Mainstream
media.
media. Yeah.
So I think they may be thinking along the right direction, that mainstream media is not the right way, we should go the podcast, but they are, one, too late. Second, they do not have anything interesting to really say. That is why, I mean, 30,000 views, even for all the broadcasters, and that too in 10 hours, I think for somebody like Michelle Obama is just way too low.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, when you were talking about X coming, and because people were able to understand all the whatever was happening in the US. Now, see, X is under terrible attack amid a series of global outrage against X. Now, Elon Musk on Monday claimed that there was still a massive cyber attack against the blogging medium. He suspected that either a large coordinated group or a country is involved in this. And I see my Twitter is not working, my X is not working on my computer, it's working only on my cell phone. So what they're saying is that there's some problem. I don't know how it is with others, but I find that quite a handicap, because see, they're very intelligently trying to block X, because X is the at least for many of us, it is the place where we get the latest news. It's become a very very popular app. And if they are doing this, that means they are very very intelligently trying to make sure that news is not spreading fast. And is it also to hamper Trump's progress?
Yeah, I think there is a significant attack on not just X but also Tesla. So Tesla also, they started attacking, and that is why Trump had to do that. Buy the Tesla the vehicle himself. What Elon is saying is that these attacks are originating from some IP addresses in the Ukraine area, quote unquote, like Ukraine area. So what he's trying to say is that maybe there are large groups or even countries which may be doing this, because see, at the end of the day, for some reason, and I think I'm still trying to ascertain that reason why Europe is so hell bent on fighting Russia, when Russia can beat them really hollow any day. So why would you go ahead and take that fight up on behalf of Ukraine, when Ukraine really doesn't have much to really give to them? So if US recedes from this whole situation the way it has, then EU and not the whole EU actually, but these few leaders who are trying to actually go for Russia, and also Elon Musk and Trump are not going to succeed for very long. So I don't know why they are making these decisions. They may be having their own calculations, but I think one of the things that they are banking on is that there's some activists or activism enthusiasts within the US, like they have done with Tesla. They are going to do these actions against Elon. If they can bring Elon down, they can bring Trump down. So, so right now it is an attack on Tesla. It is an attack on X, which like has been the single like biggest resource of news, like you were saying. Now, in fact, uh, I have tried to use Grok in terms of the AI, and I can tell you that Grok is a far superior AI
Yes,
tool
absolutely.
than like any other tool.
Yes.
So, so in that sense, I would say that Elon Musk is going in the right direction in terms of creating assets which are really, really powerful.
Yeah.
And like I don't think people are very happy with that.
Yeah.
So, so these kind of cyber attacks will keep going on. Like I think the hacker group is called the Dark Storm Team. That's what they are saying.
Okay.
They are pro-Palestine, and they do a lot of quote unquote hacktivism. So so and they are anti-Israel, which like again shows that they have a certain ideology behind them, and they probably use Ukraine also as like one of the I would s- I would say excuse, because they may not be really aligned for the well-being of Ukraine like themselves, but they may maybe Ukraine maybe use like using Ukraine as a proxy for
Yeah,
whatever they
that's
want
it.
to do.
That is
Right.
Yeah, in fact, that's the modus operandi, Desh, that, they first form the strategy to attack. And then they start adding all this, what you call Bollywood content to it, to, pad it up and say that it's for Palestine and it's for this and that. But actually, the motive is someone else, and the whole thing is targeted by a particular force. And
Correct.
since they did not succeed, they could not win with Biden and Kamala in, in power. So now they're trying different tricks. That's what we understand from this. And
Right.
also, with regards to the Ukraine-US ceasefire, talks, apparently it took 7 hours, and the hard part was getting Russia to agree. And even after 3 years of grinding war, convincing Russian President Putin to enforce a truce will be harder than getting Kyiv to agree. This is what they say. Now, US President Trump said on March 11th that President Zelensky is welcome to return to the White House following the talks in Saudi, where Ukraine agreed to a temporary ceasefire. Now, he says that we're going to meet with Russia later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to work out a deal. I think the ceasefire is very important. When asked if Zelensky would be invited back to the White House, he said, sure, absolutely. And from what happened last time, I think Zelensky is going to be a little scared when he comes this time, isn't it? He wasn't prepared for all those punches, was he?
Right. Yeah. So I think like it's a very complicated issue. Unfortunately, it's being played out in the public. And I think that is very unfortunate because this should happen behind the scenes. And like Russia has, see, like Russia is a very, very strong power. Yes, they have been impacted quite a lot by the Ukraine war, but they are not the ones who are going to just like go away and let somebody else make the decision on their behalf. That is not something that they want to happen. So, so if somebody else, even Trump, tries to make decisions on behalf of like Russia,
Putin.
like Putin will not agree. So, as and on the other hand, like Zelensky is not ready to even play ball with Trump like in the real way, because like EU doesn't want this war to stop. So I think it's a far more complicated situation than it like looks like initially. That okay, Trump will say okay, stop the war, like you do this and you do this and everything will be fine. No, Russia wants actually war to stop on its own terms. And I think that's what they have tried to say again, that it should happen, whatever, if there is a ceasefire, then that ceasefire should happen uh, like on our terms. And so it's not there is like far more things that Russia that gets to lose if it is not control of the situation. And if Trump thinks that, just like Biden used to think that, you can force Putin into something, then it's not going to happen so easily. And all this, things of sanctions and tariffs and all those things, uh, the more they throw this around, I think the worse it will be, because that's what I'm, looking at. Uh, I can understand like what they, like what Trump and Elon Musk, want to do. However, there is a difference between, trying to stop the competition, by like putting tariffs without being competitive yourself. See, tariffs work only when you are competitive. They do not work if like you yourself are not competitive. I can put tariffs on everybody else and not allow their like goods to come into my market. But if I cannot even produce those goods and services, then what's the point? Then I'm just like trying to hurt myself, because the prices will skyrocket, right? There was a time when like India did not have all those electronic goods. Like India could not make tape recorders and this and that, like in those old times. But the like import duties were so high that people would go to Hong Kong and smuggle those like goods into India, which was like nonsensical. Now, to put those tariffs without being competitive yourself really hurts you, not the other guy. So I think like that is something that Trump is not understanding, and nobody will set up a factory for 3 to 4 years as a horizon, because that is all they have. If in the next election somebody who is not associated with the MAGA movement does not come through, or like comes through, then what's the where will they stand if they put like millions of dollars into a factory?
Yeah.
So US cannot get competitive in a matter of 1 year or matter of few months or few weeks the way Trump is going. So if you do not have that situation, then don't go around throwing that bomb everywhere. But that is what he is doing. Uh, so, so I can.
In fact, India says it has not committed to slashing import duties on US products. Days after Trump announced that New Delhi has agreed to cut their tariffs way down. 150% tariff on US alcohol. White House criticizes India again amid the trade dispute, but India says it has not committed to slashing prices.
Because India has other ways to work with Trump. So there is a whole lot of geopolitical like issues that India can work with Trump on. So if they think that they want to put tariffs on the Indian products, then India will also like work like in that same manner. So I think like there will be, see, if you're not like if you're going to like a tariff China, like put tariff on China, if you're going to put tariff on Mexico, if you're going to put tariff on Canada and India, where the heck will you get the goods from? So you're shooting at everyone around you, everyone who can give
You
you
have to
some,
have some yes, friends, yes.
right. So I think like it is going to be a rude awakening like in the next few months. So I think it's a big chaos that is going on. and like it's not going to be pretty. I mean, like
Absolutely.
I like align with how like Trump and Elon Musk like were approaching this whole thing, but they at the speed at which they are approaching and the randomness with the which they are approaching now, that really worries me a lot.
Point, Desh, before we, close the session, there has been a surge in gold shipments to the US, which has led to the shortage of bullion in London, as traders amass, an 82 billion stockpile in New York over fears of Trump administration tariffs. Now, the weight to withdraw this bullion stored in the Bank of England's vaults has risen from a few days to between 4 and 8 weeks, according to people familiar with the process, as the central bank struggles to keep up with the demand. So, what's happening in this area, Desh?
So I think there is a big uh, you know like issue with the business environment. So people are very wary about the business environment and the way things are going, and that is why the stocks have been falling in a big way. Now, a lot of that money is either going into the bonds or into cash or the money market funds or into gold. So people still, I mean, there are two schools of thoughts. Like one is that maybe US dollar is still a very good store of wealth or store of value. So that is the reason why people would be going towards, say, money market fund or treasury bonds. But there is a very strong, group of people who also think that the time for US dollar is gone. So we should go towards gold. And there are a lot of people who are like talking about this. So in that sense, when you see that this sudden upsurge of buying gold, and especially getting the gold back
Or,
from
or
England,
smuggling gold?
yeah. So I think, I mean, so I'm not surprised that this is happening, because people, I mean, it's almost to 3,000 like dollars per ounce now. So uh, I mean, see, Bitcoin has or the cryptos have also been falling, like in a major way now. So if cryptos are falling, the stocks are falling, uh, and the gold is like seems to be the only good store of value then, like for people,
Definitely.
like which is apolitical. Everybody knows that it will just keep going on and on. So I think like going forward, like even India wants its the gold back, like in the country. So I think like India has also been trying to get it back from Bank of England. So this will go. I mean, like this is not going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Desh, for this wonderful session. We'll see you next week again. Thank you. Good
Thank you.
night. Jai
Good
Hind
night.
and Jai Shri Ram.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.